take a stand. Plot twists flying like waves on the shore. Guns in glory, we're craving more. Pretty wild, it's a movie dream. Life in the fast lane, nothing's as it seems. Guns, bikinis, living on the edge. Explosive moments till we made our pledge. Fighting for justice in this beautiful haze. In the heart of the action, say.
Oh, Molly. Guns, bikinis. Living on the edge. Do you live on the edge, Molly?
No.
Did you not live on the edge because you're technically like a reference librarian, or reference librarian in spirit?
I mean, except for the Mummy, I don't think librarians really have adventures, unfortunately.
This has been an adventure. This has been a cinematic adventure.
That's true. You got a point.
Yeah. Well, folks, we've made it. Welcome to the grand finale of Sederis, September, here at the last video store in the universe. Our floors are stickier than ever, our late fees punitively punishing, and our fixation with Andy Sidaris is ongoing in tonight's final arsenal, Fit to Kill. It's a double-barreled blast of babes, bullets, and betrayal. And this one's got it all. Diamonds, espionage, Julie Strain, and enough slow-motion explosions to make your VCR sweat. We've got Donna Nicole back in action, taking on international arms dealers again, stolen nuclear weapons that end up not mattering at all. Let's see. What else we got? We got high-stakes bathing between firefights, because this is Andy Sidaris, after all, at his most ridiculous and most entertaining. We'll find out. So sit back, pop off your top, and let's send off Sederis September in true VHS style. Molly, when you are not here, what are you doing? What have you been up to last week? I haven't seen you in a week. Several thousand people.
Actually watching some good movies recently.
Oh, like what? What?
I did watch Gosford Park recently. Excellent movie. I watched Murder by Death.
In that? Is there nudity in that?
No, unfortunately not, even though Clive Owen does have his shirt off, which is nice at one point.
No bare bottoms?
No. No, even though it's rated R, because Robert Altman had to insert some F-bombs in there because I don't want teens watching this movie. They're going to just ruin the experience for everyone else. I'm like, that's exactly what Spielberg should have done for Lincoln. I went to see Lincoln with my mom, and there was these teenage boys just giggling almost every scene, including the Gettysburg Address, and I was like, shut the hell up. So I'm just like, Spielberg should have added some F-bombs in there just to get it that R rating, just so the teens couldn't come in and distract the adults watching the movie.
Are you upset that maybe there were some teens in there who would maybe see Fit to Kill and they shouldn't be? Did this air in a movie theater? Probably not, right?
Well, I'd be totally fine with them in this because it's actually silly. So I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to laugh at this.
So since our last live episode, which a bunch of people watched the Heart Hunted one, thank you to all the people who watched after the fact, not live, but after the fact. I spoke with Arlene Sederis herself on the telephone. We spoke for about 40 minutes. There are a lot of things that she said that she asked me not to talk about because they're either things that are in the works for Malibu Bay Films, which, by the way, she did let this little tidbit slip, which just makes sense. When Andy was trying to come up with a name for his production company, he couldn't think of anything, and she gave him the name Malibu Bay Films because they lived in Malibu. And she's like, well, and they had built this house together, which she still lives in to this day, and was like, well, you should just name it basically after the life that we built together. Another thing that she lets out is that, remember that really uncomfortable scene in Malibu Express in the shower where the bad guy.
Yes.
Right. So they were not together when he made that movie. So she has no connection to Malibu Express whatsoever. When they got together, he was somewhere in the process. I don't know if he was editing or whatever, but she eventually saw the movie before they made Hard Ticket to Hawaii. That's her first official film that she had any contribution to.
Probably why it's the best.
And she said, basically, she told me the only time she ever really told him no on anything, like directly, was she was like, you can't have scenes where a guy assaults a woman and she ends up liking it. And she's like, you will never do that again.
Yes.
And that was like one of the times that she really put her foot down and was like, this is unacceptable. This is a reality.
Good for Arlene.
Good for Arlene.
Actually
Yeah.
stopping that, because there are just so many in the 80s, these erotic thrillers that do
Correct.
have these sort of scenes.
Correct.
So,
Yes.
and
I
she's
think
just like,
they're kind
nope,
of
not doing that.
They're an evolution of and you're like a classic Hollywood expert junkie. They're kind of an evolution of the guy hits the woman and then kisses her. That's kind of what, and then she resists the kiss and then lets herself enjoy it. It's kind of the extension of that.
Oh, one of the most famous was Empire Strikes Back, where Hans actually forcefully kisses Leia. And at first she struggles for a bit, but then she gives in.
Yeah, that's true. He doesn't slap her first, but it is a forced kiss. Yes. Let's see. What else can I say? There's a lot of stuff that's honestly, she's still working. She's still doing things with the movies. And there are interested outside parties who are working on different projects that delve into, I can't talk about, delve into this world that we've been covering so faithfully. And the hope is, to say this, the hope is she really would like to come on and speak with both of us about, tell us stories from the old days and talk about what they've got going on in the future.
I would love that.
Should let you know, if I am correct, I believe this is right, that she is a woman in her 80s. She's in her early 80s. So, and she's very busy and she's got a lot going on. And they've been showing a film club, essentially at USC Film School, has been showing the films of Andy Sidaris on Saturdays for several weeks now. And she just did a Q&A, or she's got one coming up. It's either this past Wednesday or it's coming up. I think it's actually this upcoming Wednesday, rather. And so she did ask me to plug that, and I would be more than glad to. If you're seeing this before Wednesday and you're in the USC area, go check it out. And she's going to do a Q&A, and they're going to get they're doing Savage Beach, and the cinematographer for Savage Beach is going to come out as well. They're going to talk about what they did. I can tell you, it would not surprise you at all, because I asked some specific questions, right? Just because I'm like, things happen. I may never get a chance to talk to her again, Yeah. She's very quick to say, because I was very quick to tell her that we think that she's the secret sauce that makes the movies good, and that when she just has like, the less involved she is, the less good the movies are, is what I said to her. And she was flattered by that, but she was like, no, see, it was all really Andy's creativity, because just even doing the movies, like he was already doing them when I got involved with him. He was, he came from ABC Sports, and he worked on productions for ABC Sports and kind of revolutionized the way like sports are broadcast. Like he came up with ideas of, we need to show more off the field stuff. We need to have backstories about the players. We need to go into the locker room. We need to make it more real, more visceral. And eventually he got sick of the runaround, but he had some success and was respected in the sports world. And I think that's why you see some sports personalities pop up in Hard Ticket to Hawaii. And so he got some cash and started making movies. And then, she met him and they fell in love and built life together. And I did ask, I said, you guys obviously had to have been living in Hawaii, right? Why else were you shooting in Hawaii all the time? And she was like, we did. We built a house there. And so, yeah, we lived, there, but it just wasn't the same once he passed. He passed in 2007. And so she gave it to their daughter. And then, from there, whatever happened. So, but yeah, they lived most of their life in Hawaii, and they shot movies. They created this sort of repertory company of hot women who would star in these movies, and they would just go out and shoot them. And her claim, and I pushed back on her because I don't believe it's 100% true, but her claim is that most of her creative contributions happen pre-production. Once he was filming, once he was in production, she saw her role as just make sure the production works, just produce it, actually produce it, make sure the movie gets finished, and get him whatever he needs, and help the actors, and that's it. That's how she viewed herself. But beforehand, it's when she'd be like, you have to have characters in this movie, Andy. You have to, and he would constantly say, oh, we'll figure it out. I guess apparently, according to her, his phrase was like on our feet. Basically, we'll figure out day of. And she'd be like, well, this part doesn't make any sense, or this isn't consistent. And I will figure it out when we're filming. And she'd be like, no, you need to figure out ahead of time. So that was kind of the battle between them. So I think when we've noticed there's some of the earlier movies have maybe more continuity, and then each movie kind of starts to feel like a reboot of the last one, because it's even this one that we're going to talk about tonight. It's like they set up a very clear sequel, and the movie kind of starts off with that, and then it's just completely abandoned for some other MacGuffin, and character motivations are completely different. I think that she was less and less involved in the pre-production of the movies, and was more involved in keeping Malibu Bay Productions, the company, running. She had a very high opinion, and a lot of personal love for, and this will not surprise you, Roberto. Is that his name? Roberto Obregon or Auberjon?
Yes.
She who has passed away. Yeah, she loved that man, and then she was like, "Oh, he was such a sweetheart." And the reason the reason why we kept just having him back is he was so easy to work with, and he would just do anything. He was just a sweet man. And she had very, very, very lovely things to say about Julie Strain, who she thought was a very beautiful soul. She said, for the most part, everybody got along on the sets, and it was a real collaborative, fun environment. But those were two, I think, because they've passed, that have kind of a special place in her heart.
Yeah.
I didn't get to ask about Michael Andrews. I was saving that for hopefully when we get to talk to her. So, so there wasn't just bullshit of me like trying to tease. I was like, the whole time I was in email correspondence with Arlene, and was hoping I could get her on tonight or at some point. But we're trying to work through some dates that make sense for her, and then I got to give those to you, Molly, because I want you to be there. I did bring you up to her, and I said I have this collaborator. She's not a normal part of the show, but she's helped me through all of this, and she's very smart, and blah 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 blah. So, I hopefully it works with your schedule, and I'm going to try to make it to where all three of us can be there, because I would like you to be able to speak to Arlene Sederis. She's exactly what you think she would be. She is an 82-year-old woman from Queens who's lived in Malibu and Hawaii. And she was like, I produced television before I ever met Andy. I knew what it was like to produce. And I gave her the quote of, I was like, I don't know if you remember. I was like, look, I know this is 40 years ago for me, but I'm living in your moments, like right now. Do you remember saying, the day I walk into a room and a man can't compliment me on my legs is the day I'm a sorry feminist? And she said, well, yes, I remember saying it, and I still feel the exact same way. She's like, she goes, to this day, even at, my current age, if I walk down the street and I don't get looks, that I don't see a man look at me and go, oh, that's a nice looking woman, or I feel something's missing. So I'm like, okay. She's like, I look for reasons to put mascara on, and I still want to be able to walk down the street and have men find me attractive. That's a great thing. And I was like, God bless you. And she's darling, man. She's sweet as could be. Yeah. But she's a pistol. She's and there are other interviews that she's done out there, and you get a sense of her. She's very very aware of what the movies are and their limitations, because she was very involved in trying to get them to actually work. I think that was her main like cross to bear. You know, he'd come up with something and it was kind of on her to like figure it out and like make the connections. And she's got funny stories about pastries and showing up places. And she said they went to one place who did optical effects for one of the earlier movies. And as soon as she saw the pastry spread they had in like the waiting room, she was like, we can't afford these people. We're already over budget, is what she said. So she's very funny. She's great. She's great. True producer. Yeah, I just hope so. We got some follow-ups this week. I hope it's coming sooner rather than later. Yeah, so that's my catch up on the lovely Arlene Sederis, who will absolutely not accept much of my praise to her. She's like, nah, she's like, thank you very much, but you know, it was everybody and it was Andy, and you know, he was difficult when he was creative, and he was, you know, I miss him to this day. And so, you know, but yeah, she's great. Speaking of Andy, let's use 3 adjectives, not for this movie, but for, we have now seen, I think he's made a total of 13 films in his life. Together we have watched 8 of those 13. Have you seen any of the other ones? He made 2 or 3 earlier than Malibu Express. There's
and then he made 2 after this one.
Correct.
I have not. It was all been in. It's all been in this series I've seen.
Yeah, same. So, and this is Fit to Kill is the last on a Spear film. It's the last Nicole film. It's the last Cynthia Brimhall film. Julie Strain kind of becomes the main person moving forward. And a lot of the reoccurring people of this series since Hard Ticket to Hawaii, this is the last one for them. This is the last hurrah. And yeah, I haven't seen the other ones either. Maybe we'll get to those. I don't know. So that we can have
will it be as good without Arlene is the question.
That's a great question.
Probably not the first 2. Probably not.
The first one, I feel like he made like in the 70s. It's like a car race movie, which makes sense because that's obviously like an interest that he has. It's like the day of the car race. And I don't even know where you would locate that. So, so what are 3 adjectives that of the filmography of Andy Sidaris we've seen, which is, I think we've seen the core of his filmography, right?
Yeah.
Like we've seen all the movies that he is remembered for to this day. In the series, the Triple B series, Bullets, Babes, and Bombs. Is that the other one?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are 3 adjectives that you would use to describe him as a director, his filmography, whatever you want?
I would say explosive.
Yes. Yeah.
Mostly competent.
Yeah.
And I would also say horny. Very horny.
Very horny. And she was, Arlene was very adamant. She was like, look, Andy loved women. I mean, he loved women. He loved being around women. He loved working with women. He loved women. He loved who he thought were beautiful women. So I think that's very clear. Yeah, I would say like bombastic,
good choice.
silly, and erect. I think what's really interesting about him is I think he kind of exists in this this really strange space where, okay, normally if somebody becomes famous because they made a bunch of quote unquote bad movies, they're not typically very competent directors.
No.
Right? Ed Wood was not competent.
No, he was not.
Right.
No. Tommy Wiseau is not a competent director.
Neil Breen is not competent.
No.
None of these people are competent. I actually think it would have been workmanlike, but it makes sense given his sports and almost more documentary background, you know, of flat shots and
Yeah.
just trying to capture the
Mhm.
scene. It makes sense when you understand his style and where his background was.
Mhm.
But I do think, especially in the 80s, I think
He does love his master shots, I will say. He does love those, which some directors do not realize, or some directors forget. I mean, I liked Monkey Man, but Dev Patel forgot what those were. And I was like, where are we? Where are we? How many people are in this shot?
That's a
Just
modern
like in
movie
this scene.
problem, though. Yeah.
I'm like, Dev, I like this movie, but where are the master shots? You didn't have any B-roll footage of master shots? Okay.
We've gotten rid of that, though. Like modern movies, if you notice, there's like the basics are fading of sort of establishing shots, your masters, your wides,
and we're losing that. It's a lost art, and Andy Sidaris still had it.
He still had it, yeah. And it's a lot like it's a lot of reverse. The other thing we're losing 2 shots.
We are.
For
it's shot reverse shots because people just can't stay in the cut for so long. Just like cut.
Correct.
And just stay in the 2 shot. Just keep going. Just keep working. It's like, no, they don't know how to stay in character because they don't remember lines.
Correct. So for the people at home who don't know, now we're getting real nerdy. For the people who are at home who don't know, a 2 shot was classic Hollywood used it all the time and pretty much for everything. If you had 2 characters in the scene, if you had me and Molly and we're in the same space and we're talking to each other, we would both be visible. Pretty much most of us or whatever was in frame, probably at least like mid waist up or shoulder up, but we'd both be in frame and we'd both be speaking to each other, and there would be no editing. It wouldn't be an over the shoulder shot, which is be over my shoulder. Nope. You see Molly's face, you see her talking to me, and then you get my coverage on the other side and you reverse it. That's what they're doing because they're piecemealing takes together in new movies. Right. Or we're not even in the same space at the same time. So it's an over the shoulder of my double or my stand-in who you're delivering lines to on the volume. And then they're taking Molly's takes. I mean, let's say she did 4 takes, 5 takes, 13 takes, and they're editing, they're splicing the best pieces of those 13 takes for a simple 4 or 5 minute scene. And then they're doing the same thing for me. And so that's why you end up with these, they feel like nothing, it doesn't, Molly could be a good actress or actor. I could be a good actor, but you're fucking around with, we're not in the moment. We're not in the moment together. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel lived in. And I'm not going to say that Fit to Kill felt real or lived in, but when, what's Shay Wild? Is that her name? Was it Shay or was it Sarah? Hot Tub.
I thought it was girl. Shay. Let me double check.
When her and whatever Abilene is left standing, which I think is still Shane technically.
Yeah, it is Michael J. Shane.
That's a 2 shot, and they're in the 2 for like 5 minutes.
Yes.
And they're firing a gun, and he hands her the gun, or she fires a gun. She hands him the gun, he fires, then we go over both their shoulders, we look at the action, then we shoot back on them.
Yes.
Like, are those 2 shots flat? Sure, but at least they're both in the scene at the same time talking to each other. I like we probably just need to get back to fucking tripods.
We really do.
Set the camera.
Stop doing Steadicam all the time and get back to the tripods.
I think that's what it is. Everything's on a gimbal now or a Steadicam of some kind or something.
Yeah, or it's a cinematographer with the contraption around them with the harness, and they're following the characters.
Yeah, it's basically kind of a fancy gimbal, Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. It's it's some body crane mechanism and and they're like, oh well, this is gonna make it feel more because it's more cinematic and more fluidity, the camera movement. And I think there are scenes that depend on that, but honestly, if you're just doing exposition and if you're just trying to establish who your characters are or where they are, maybe just shoot a wide, maybe shoot a master. Let us know where the fuck we are. That's not a drone shot. The only masters we get anymore are drone shots. Or digital drone shots, which is even crazier. It's a fake drone shot from a fake camera. It's just a fake
Yeah.
perspective. Now we're in like film nerd territory. And we should be talking
We
about
are now. We're
movies.
sound like we sound like old men yelling at clouds.
But here's the thing though. Movies that employ the basics and then add on top of it are better.
Mhm.
And to get back to what we're talking about, I think to your point, Andy Sidaris, as many laughs as we had, he as far as a quote unquote bad movie maker, he understood like the basics. Like he has master shots. We're here now, right? We're in the desert now. We're at this lake now. We're at this waterfall now.
We're at this hotel
We're
now.
at a hotel.
We're at this here.
There's so many beauty shots of Vegas that he gets.
Yes.
Right. Here's all the different hotels. Here's they're staying by the Mirage. Here's the thing going off.
Yes.
Here's the vibe. The music matches the master. And then boom, she's in a Silk is in a fancy hotel. She's approaching what's his face. You know, it's just like simple like filmmaking, but also he's a guy who worked in TV. And it used to be
exactly
that I mean, all the directors, Spielberg included, that were worth a shit, got their start. Like all the ones who broke through in the 70s and 80s, for the most part, like 90% of them worked in television. They worked on Hitchcock Presents. They worked
so many famous directors were on Columbo. Yes. And Roger Corman. Worked with those people. Yeah.
Or they worked. Yes, exactly. That's another one, which is how do you get your setups? How do you, and with TV and with Roger Corman, as efficiently as possible? How do you get as much in the camera as fast as possible? Well, how do you do that? You lock the camera down and you do long takes. Right?
Yes.
We're only going to get two takes, maybe 3 if we're lucky. And you got to do it all here. And then we're going to maybe get some coverage over here, but not very much. So you better not fuck it up. Yeah. Right? And, or you do the George Romero thing, which is you get 5 cameras rolling and you shoot everything from every angle. And then you just make the movie in the edit. But
I say that's one of the best ones. Robert Altman apparently had 2 cameras for Gosford Park, and they were both moving, which confused some of the actors, but it actually kept them on their toes. And Emily Watson even said she started her work in dance, and this is actually the one where she felt her dance training helped her.
Yeah, that's a good point. So,
yeah, he's getting all that coverage right there.
Yeah, and there you go. And so someone like, as funny as it is, Andy Sidaris had that TV background of we've got to shoot fast, but we've got to get everything we need. And so our shot setups have got to be economical. Does it obviously veer way too far into the just very economical? Yes. And do the movies become a little cookie cutter?
Oh,
sure.
This movie had one of the worst day for night scenes I've ever seen shot in a movie like this. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to it. Yes. But yes. So the cast is basically the same as the last one, except for the addition of Julie Strain, who is playing Blue Steel. Blue without an E. It's just blue with a U.
Woo!
Blue Steel. The E is at the end of Steel. What is this movie about? Because I thought it was going to be about the trigger, but it turns out it really isn't.
No, because the trigger was blown up in the last film because of Cade's fault, but this film seems to neglect it was Kane's fault because Cade told his henchmen to annihilate them, but then he never mentions it. When he actually extrapolates and brings up how it is that Donna Hamilton got the best of him.
Yes.
And they're just like, you're the one who told your henchmen to go out and kill them. I think he called his henchman, like one of his henchmen here, like poo, because he can't say foo in his British accent. So he kept calling him poo.
I didn't even hear that.
And I was just like, what?
If it's possible for ears to glaze
so instead
over.
It's a Russian diamond that I think it's implied came from Tsarist Russia.
Yes.
Russia that was underlocking, that was discovered in Leningrad or stolen from Leningrad from the Nazis. And it's wild because we get to documentary, Holocaust, World War II.
He's never
B-roll
done
footage
anything like that. Has he?
And you're just like,
Even in
I think
Savage
that maybe the
Beach.
closest is Savage Beach, where it was the Japanese man still fighting in World War II, right?
But did he?
In there?
He didn't do He didn't have documentary like newsreel footage.
No, he
from there.
didn't.
He
And there's like one
includes
scene where they actually have
Mhm.
the diamonds and these guys dressed as Nazis
as full
in
Nazis.
Leningrad getting the diamond, and they have it in
Yeah.
a little box. They put a swastika right on the front of the box so you know the Nazis just like,
Correct.
boop, mine now. Just like gonna put a flag on there with the diamond.
I was stunned when we broke into the flashback goes into newsreel footage, which then goes into a recreation, a period piece where he makes the movie temporarily for an extended sequence. He gets two guys, put full Nazi officer uniforms,
Mhm.
wristband or armbands, everything.
The armbands, yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
And I was
holy
like,
shit.
this feels like it's from a
hazed?
completely different movie, and it
Yes.
actually is very competently directed. You think this could
he
be
used light
in
he used
something?
shadow.
This could be in a pretty good, well-made World War II film,
Yes. And I was
but
like,
it's a Bikini Babe movie.
well, okay.
And you're just like, what?
of all the movies we've watched.
And the narration is really good too. This guy
Yes.
narrating it, he gives it all this gravitas.
Yes.
And it feels like almost like those George Lucas produced documentaries he did a ton of because he just loves
Yes.
history. And I discovered
like-
this
it
like
felt
he
like
has
the
a
History
there's a
Channel.
YouTube channel for George Lucas documentaries, and it's all these historical documentaries of things he likes, like World War II, history of World War One, all this stuff he likes. And it's like, this feels like one of those documentaries.
it kind
I
of
didn't know
makes
Andy
sense
had
though.
it in him.
But it kind of makes sense though with Andy's background in TV.
That makes
and
sense. Yeah, with the
sports,
sports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he can kind of do that. And then, but I'm like, of all the movies that we've watched, and there's been a lot of nudity and a lot of sex in some of them, and a lot of bikinis in a lot of them. We've been veering towards this direction with his filmography. This is the one that feels almost like there's really no point in whatever this plot is. That the only reason we're here is we see Cynthia Brimhall naked, we see Donna naked, we see Nicole naked, we see Shay naked, we finally see Ava topless.
Oh yeah. And I was like, whoa.
I know.
Okay, Ava.
Holy guacamole, brother.
Holy.
Whoa, good golly, Miss Molly. And then we also see
They were startling.
yes, they were. Holy moly.
Yes.
I'm feeling a little anxious. And and then we see Julie Strain. Julie Strain has her scene,
opening.
Well, not the opening, the kitchen scene when she's bent over the sink, and then the guy comes in and they have sex on top of the sink. It ends in kind of a cornball, silly place. That is a sexy scene, and it felt like now between that and then Nicole has a sex scene after that. It feels those two felt like, okay, now we're in softcore porn territory now.
This almost felt like it. I mean, he's like Julie Strain gets spanked, and I was like,
yes,
whoa, spanking has never
seen
happened
that.
in this series before till now.
Here's the difference. Okay, here's the difference. Here's the difference. We've seen them nude and we've seen them kind of writhe. We've never actually in any other movie seen them in a true sexual positions. We've seen it kind of implied. No. We've seen it, but this was not just a woman on a motorcycle writhing around as the guy's like caressing her legs. This isn't like music video sex. This was, we got cowgirl, we got doggy style, we got all of these positions, even though it was just very quick and moaning and groaning and actual, like the guy is pulling his pants down And it was like,
Mhm.
oh, we're actually shooting softcore sex now.
Yeah, it did really kind of feel that way, and I feel that it was because it was especially the proliferation of Baywatch, but also the
Yes.
erotic thriller was really taking off in this time. I think
Yes.
Basic Instinct came out around this same
Yes.
time. I think
Yep.
it's the same year.
Yep.
And I think was Color of Night the same year too, or like close by that?
Close. There was that wave of them, right? And I think that what
Fatal
you
Attraction,
yes, right, end of the 80s, Fatal
Indecent
Attraction.
Proposal, I think also.
Right
Yeah,
around here,
all
like
around the same time,
93.
and those were
Yep. Yep.
pretty soft core.
And those are
soft
those
hardcore almost,
yeah,
I guess you could
those
say.
were mainstream Hollywood
Mhm.
productions. So that's
Yeah.
that's where I'm getting at. I think what we're seeing is like the more in these movies, the closer we like for a long time, because we're starting in the early 80s, it just kind of sufficed just to have big breasted women
Mhm.
with their boobs out.
Yep.
Because at that point, the only other alternative was like Playboy, right?
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to, Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, Playboy, yeah, there was Penthouse, yeah, there was Hustler, but as far as
Yeah.
like mainstream,
And it's just like these women with nice boobs,
but even that's
and those were
almost
kind of
sort of like
the drawing. And
yeah, it's almost that. Even that was almost like the Playboy shoots would have them like, oh, taking a shower or doing something.
yeah,
But that's not going to get the job done 10 years later.
No.
Because now there's XXX titles on VHS in every video store in America other than Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And so people are able now, and it's becoming more and more commonplace for certain people, more people than would ever admit, to get adult tapes from video stores. And now on the premium channels, HBO, Cinemax, you're getting softcore programming. And these movies found their life kind of in this in between, because yes, they're action movies. They're not just like Red Shoe Diaries movies or whatever. They're not just for sex purposes, but they're primarily action espionage movies that has like sometimes sex just bolted onto them, like in place. Like he doesn't like, but they've gotten progressively sexier, and they've gotten progressively more risque. We've never seen spanking before. We've never had the type of moaning and groaning like we have in the two sex scenes during this movie.
Yeah.
We've never had the type of simulated intercourse, different positions. We've never seen them change position in a sex scene in an Andy Sidaris film.
No.
You might see it like, oh, the guy's going to go down or the girl's going to go down. Oh, cut away, right? Here, they're flipping, they're turning, they're moving, they're grooving. they're flying off the trapeze with the greatest of ease, that kind of thing.
Woo.
So it got a little steamy, and I had to close the curtains because I was like, if Amazon
Someone's
Prime
gonna
shows
see.
they're thinking I'm just sitting here watching porn in the middle of the afternoon. I never felt that.
I was even thinking, oh, please, I hope my brother doesn't come in.
And that's so we both is this the first time that you were semi self-conscious watching an Andy Sidaris film?
I think so, because the other times were just with the other stuff, and I was like, I don't think this has caused as many issues as the one time my brother walked in when I fell asleep watching Eraserhead and saw the baby.
Oh my god!
He was like, "What the f is this?" I was like, "Oh, I was falling asleep. It's called Eraserhead." I was just like tired because I worked a 8-hour shift in the day before, like a 10-hour shift, and I was like, "I'm so tired."
It's
Why
called cinema.
It's cinema.
This is
With the baby laughing.
This is independent cinema. Give it a chance.
Yes. Also, that film is quite hilarious. So
yes. From here on out, I can't tell you what this movie's about. I don't know what the rest of the Fit to Kill is about. I know it becomes about the diamond, and then somehow it becomes
Yep.
about Kane blackmailing Donna by kissing her in a bed. I'm like, who the fuck would care in Donna's world that she kissed Kane in a bed? Why would that affect her credibility? I don't understand that. At one point, Nicole's like, now that Kane's ruined Donna's credibility. I'm like, how?
How? Like, really?
Think,
Just like,
yeah.
She's already done so well. How is one kiss gonna ruin her credibility?
She's a spy.
Yeah.
Apparently now she went from a D agent. Also,
imagine if they said this to Roald Dahl. If they said, "You having sex with all those women in your spy trips are gonna ruin your credibility." It's like, MI6 told me to have sex with those women so I could find details about these codes for Nazis.
Okay. And the other thing there's no continuity is Silk gives him back the necklace. Like, oh, I was able to save this after everything blows up at the end of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
What is the long con with, they don't need Silk working with him anymore.
I know, it's like, Silk, you don't need to keep being with this guy.
Did they forget?
But at the end, she does say, I'll still love you. So I'm like, oh, I guess that she kind of did have feelings for him. So maybe that's why she's still stuck around him.
I took that as like a joke, right? It's
yeah.
Now that I don't have any of my money or anything, I'm in a ballooning.
It's like, will you still love me? Oh, like, yes, I'll still love you. I'll miss you though.
Right. And I'll miss you. Yes. And that's the other thing I want to add. Of the most recent ones, this has, I won't say it's funny, but I will say that it is approaching legitimate comedy.
It is getting to that point, yeah.
But
there are actually parts where I actually legit felt excited for some scenes because I thought this is going to be funny.
But there are intentional jokes. The two idiots who come back again, they almost, like, they got so close to an approximation of an actual payoff, the setup and payoff to a real joke that you're like, I don't know what to do with this. This is almost competently funny.
Yes. I did think their conversation about who the great American dad is was funny because it turns out it's fighting about Homer Simpson and Fred Flintstone.
Correct.
And I was like,
and Homer's still a new thing, kind of. He's only been around for 2 or 3 years. So they refer to him as the Flash
because this was the 4th season that was airing in 1993.
Yeah, we should also add that you're a Simpsons connoisseur, that you have an encyclopedic knowledge of the Simpsons.
I do. My coworker and I make fun that it's just like, oh, we got to put a quarter in the Simpsons reference jar.
But
gotta keep doing it.
Man, that guy, but they're talking about both of them as if they're real people, right? And as if they're actors, and they're like, like, oh no, I don't believe that. I don't believe his performance at all. He's just a flash in the pan. And he's like, oh, you didn't see the dog episode when that guy was crying? Those were real tears.
Real tears.
That's almost a joke. That's really close to clever writing.
I say these guys and the guys pretending to be Cajun were probably my favorite goons they've ever hired.
Yeah, but they're the same guy, the same actors. But they're different characters, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they're the same actors.
Yeah. Like those guys actually kind of have comedic chemistry together. We've got Cynthia Brimhall doing pratfalls at the beginning. And the thing that I realized, okay, I've expressed to you that I have some kind of a crush on Cynthia Brimhall from this era, which is unexpected. I'm a brunette man. If you were to line up a group of women and say, who do you find attractive? Without even thinking about it, I'd be like, I don't know. This one. It's always going to be a brunette. I don't see brunettes, and I don't disqualify people because they're not brunettes. It's just, if you're going to ask me, brunettes are the most attractive. Dark hair, dark eyes. That's what I go for. Always have. Probably always will. That's just where those are my inclinations.
Yeah.
And that's not Cynthia Brimhall. Cynthia Brimhall is a box red. I'm guessing. I don't know what her real hair color is. Probably maybe like a dirty blonde, dishwater blonde, brunette adjacent, I would guess.
Yeah.
But like fair skin, I have no idea, like her eyes, because we never actually get, like, I think they're green.
Yeah,
or
we never really
blue,
get a
maybe.
close-up shot
Yeah,
of
we
them.
don't ever get
No.
close-ups of her. But and then I think what I realized is the reason why I have this little movie crush on her is because I think she actually, I don't know now, she's very close. And I think if somebody had worked with her, I think she actually has comedic timing. There's a few scenes here or there, and there's a few scenes in this movie. Not so much like the physical comedy, but the stuff she does with her face. They do these cutaways with her, and she does these little things with her eyes. That I'm like, oh, you're funny. Like I don't know that she knows what she's doing, but there's something funny about her, and that character has become kind of funny throughout the series and musical, but also kind of funny. And I'm like, I think if
I
I
actually
were to,
cheered when she started singing. I was like, "Yay!" Because I was just waiting for it because I knew it was gonna happen.
yeah, I think when we lost Taryn, we lost that buddy cop aspect between Don. Like, honestly, Donna Spears' character Donna has never felt the same since Taryn left these movies. And some of that obviously has to do with what we talked about elsewhere, which is Donna Spears' drug and alcohol issues, pill issues. But even in this one, like, this is her last movie, her last hurrah and all of this. And she even has a line where she's like, my work is done here, which kind of almost feels meta.
Work here is done.
Yeah. Like you knew,
it
like
does
she
almost feel
maybe
meta.
knew that she wasn't coming back.
I actually thought that was going to be her final line. So I was like, ooh, this would be super meta. But then she just had like one more line afterward, or like just like two more lines after
this movie. Donna as a character, she barely interacts with anybody else. She disappears for huge swaths of the film. It's all about her credibility and this maybe adversarial romance that has now started between her and Kane.
Yeah, because there's this romance subtext with Kane, because it turns out that Kane actually has a mutual bad guy that they have with Chang is his name, who killed his father. And so they start relating to each other because both of their fathers were killed by bad men.
Yes. And so it's like they kind of did both.
And the guy who played Kane, I think he was marginally better in this movie, but he still has that kind of thinking of acting is just speaking in my own British accent and not really emoting sort of thing. Oh, you're talking
about what's his face's son, Roger Moore's son?
Kane, yeah, RJ Moore.
RJ Moore. Yeah.
Jeffrey Moore.
He actually is slightly better in this one. He's slightly better. Yeah, you're right. And you just think, okay, if Donna is now the main character, her and Edie are the two longest tenured characters in this franchise. And I know Edie is sort of a role player, bit player, like she's like a sidekick who in different movies has been elevated to do more of the song and dance and this, that, whatever. She just started off as a restaurateur spy in Hawaii, and now she's going on the road with them. Okay, whatever. But
she just comes in for the cameo to sing a song, and like nothing wrong with that.
But Donna's the main character.
She's a pretty good singer.
Donna Spear is the franchise player. She is the Vin Diesel to this Fast and Furious franchise, and it doesn't feel like it can really work without her. And she's done progressively less and less and less with each movie for the last 4 of these movies, and on this one she does almost nothing. It's just sort of weird. Isn't that weird? And maybe the answer is like at this point she's spiraling completely out of control, and they shot as much with her as they could, and her life's in shambles, right? Maybe that's it. Maybe she was supposed to be the main character.
That's very likely. That is very likely, because I think it was after that she went into. Well, this is conjecture. I think this is when close to when she started going to rehab and detox.
Yeah, and like changed her whole life around and pretty much left.
And now she is now she helps other people with addictions, which is great for her.
Yeah, she's like a sober coach, right? Yeah, it is great for her. I'm still trying to track her down. She's hard to get a hold of. Yeah. But I love to talk to her too. Yeah. Again, I don't know what the plot of this is. This feels very ramshackle in a way the other ones did.
Yeah,
Very
trying to
thin.
find a diamond for this Russian diplomat. It almost
But there's a
feels
lot of
like,
other
speaking of The
stuff.
Simpsons, that episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns was given $1 trillion bill to give to the French to Europe for reconstruction
Yeah.
after World War II, and then Mr. Burns just takes it for himself.
That's about right.
And everybody's trying to go after Mr. Burns to get this $1 trillion bill back. Except in this movie, the $1 trillion bill is a diamond that you
That's
need to
correct.
bring back so
That's
that
correct.
we can finally be friends with the Russians, which is very much this
Ooh.
anti-Cold War sentiment, which is really funny to think about. We're just like, oh, the Russians are good people and we are going to be the best of friends. And you're like,
In America,
like seriously, I almost had
anything is
checked to be like,
possible.
okay, did the Pizza Hut was Gorbachev air around this same time? No, that was in 1998. So the Soviet Union just literally collapsed 2 years prior, and now we're trying to be the best friends with the Russians, and we can trust you.
Whoops.
Nope.
Nope.
Not with those oligarchs you get. No.
Nope. Not with all that oil money. No, you
Nope.
surely cannot.
Mm.
That's all right. In 30 short years, we'd have one entire political party spending their 4th of Julys in Moscow at the Kremlin, and nobody would be the wiser, except for the fact that it'd be all over the internet, and nobody doing anything about it, because the prosecutors and Supreme Court justices that are meant to protect the country, they're all in on it too, and they're all being funded by the same Russian oligarchs. Yep.
Mm-hmm. They're our friends. Let's be.
Yeah.
They're our friends, and Rodrigo actually plays the Russian here now.
That's right.
Mikhail Petrov.
Yes, because in America,
And he does not a bad Russian accent. It's not great, but it's not bad.
It's not bad. Yeah, in America, anything is possible, Molly.
Yes.
What are your general thoughts?
And he gets to be with Ava in this one because he saves her. Saves her from this guy wearing pantyhose on his face, one of the goons, and that initiates the sex scene where we actually got to see it, and we're like, oh.
Do we just want to talk about KSXY in general? They have an outdoor hot tub.
We just need to watch her TikToks, and maybe we'll stop being, or at least I'll stop being obsessed. Because I'm like, I will watch her TikToks where she does tarot.
Like, there's just a blonde woman who has no role at the radio station, who is
she's just there
in the radio station.
And it's so funny because she's just there with just like
topless,
a bikini bottom and no bra and no bikini top.
Ava at one point goes, "We're gonna need some more coffee." She gets up out of the jacuzzi. Not Ava. Ava's not in the jacuzzi. Ava is fully clothed. This girl gets up out of the jacuzzi, walks over to the coffee pot, pours herself a cup of coffee directly facing the camera, parallel to the coffee maker, in the most awkward setup ever. We watch the coffee pour in just so we can see her lovely areolas.
Yep.
And then it's a hard edit out of the scene. And I'm going, what? Was that just an excuse for 5 more seconds to see her boobs for 5 more seconds?
Yes, it was super important for the coffee.
What did that coffee? Who was that?
You got to give her something to do to get out of that jacuzzi.
Well, she gets a scene later where it turns out like she can shoot a gun or whatever, and I don't know if that ever comes into play or not. Does she help them at the end blow stuff up? I can't remember. Maybe.
I think maybe. Also, this film just proves that I think Andy Sidaris really likes toy helicopter battles.
Yes. And, we got toy helicopters, toy motorcycles, the whole Yamaha. And he's like, we only buy American. He goes, well, what you want is a Yamaha. And he goes, Yamaha? That doesn't sound American. Well, of course it is. Yamaha, Oklahoma. See, that's almost a joke. He's like, oh, okay,
Okay.
Yeah. I think Andy just liked RC stuff. I think he liked vehicles. I think he liked guns, and I think he liked big-breasted women.
He did.
And he made movies about all of his passions.
Yeah, he knew what he liked.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I will say Julie Strain's opening just made me go, "Aw." Where she's in the bikini, just the really tight bikini, and she's doing the exercises because she's an assassin.
Yes.
And she even like does her muscle arms, and I was like, "Oh
Yes.
yeah, this is what I like. This is what I like." And she has one of my favorite bad outfits where she's wearing this metal bikini on top of a cat suit.
Yes.
And I was like, what is that metal bikini protecting? Just nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, she is a super assassin Catwoman kind of figure in this movie.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe what her character is. Blue Steel.
Yeah. Who Kane convinces to join him for some unknown reason.
And for some unknown reason, she does. But I think she's the protagonist in the next film.
Yep. Even after she was paid to kill him, and it's like, nope, I got a better deal from him.
But I don't think Kane comes back. None of this comes back. This is the end. There's no fulfillment of any of this. And then she comes back as Blue Steel. I think Blue Steel is now the Donna,
a different character.
Yeah, moving forward. Yeah. We do have to talk about what is it about Ava's scene that we both responded to, other than the obvious? Because we've seen so many boobs, Molly, in this 8-film series. We've seen big ones, we've seen little ones, very few naturals. We haven't seen naturals since Malibu Express.
Yeah, no.
So we haven't seen naturals since
which is
June
kind of surprising. You're just like,
What? Why was that scene so hot?
I'm trying to think. It definitely wasn't as hot as like the Fabio-esque scene in Do or Die. It was not as hot as that.
No.
But I'm trying to think about it. I think it's because she was feeling all this pleasure too, and it's not about him. It's about her. And I think that's
you don't even see his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I think for me,
especially with Blue Steel, we don't even see the guy's face. We see her face in pleasure.
Yes.
Pleasure, and the camera goes to her. It's just like you can imagine what he's doing. This is about her pleasure. This is not about him whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that he. I'm not trying to be funny here. I think that he sort of successfully captured, because it's not graphic, but it kind of feels more graphic than anything we've seen before. And I think that he somehow has captured, like, this is what film can do. It's like the power of suggestion. By certain angles, and where the cuts are, it's suggesting to you, and your mind fills in the blanks, and that's what makes it titillating. Instead of just flat shots of very oftentimes very nice breasts that are just like we talked about when we began this whole journey of just very sort of clinical. Here's two blondes with giant jugs looking at you. It's like, okay, I don't know, but this kind of actually tips into eroticism in some way. Where it actually feels erotic. I think with Ava, obviously they're very large and way nicer than I thought they would be at that size for that time. Way more kind of natural-ish. But also, I think it's because I just made up in my mind, since there was no nudity with her in the first movie, and when they start this scene, we're only seeing, when her bra comes off, we're seeing her from the back. I thought, well, she may take her top off, but we're never going to see it. Because I just figured that actress, who's actually named Ava, just was like, I'm not going to be topless on camera. So then when it kind of happens, it was sort of a surprise. And then it felt like it felt wrong. It felt like we're not supposed to be seeing Ava's breast. We're not supposed to be seeing this in this TNA And so I don't know. I think that's, to me, where some of the titillation came in of oh my. I'm not supposed to be here.
I know, it's like, it's forbidden. We're not supposed to see this. Yes.
Ava's breasts are the forbidden fruit of the Sederis franchise. Because I've seen, honestly, this is no joke. Donna Spear is go back to my comments when we did this months ago. We both talked about how Donna Spear had nice boobs.
Mm-hmm.
I can speak for myself. I completely take her boobs for granted. And so when she does do the ubiquitous, obligatory, I got to change my clothes. Because with her, at this point, it's not even sex anymore. It's just changing her clothes.
Yeah.
It feels just like I'm in a locker room with an old friend. It doesn't feel sexual at all.
It really does. You've been with them for so long. You're just like,
I feel such a platonic connection to Donna Spear that it doesn't matter anymore. Like, she's just like a gal pal. And we're just happen to be in Europe at a nude beach, and she's got her top off. And I'm a man, but it's okay. I'm not. She feels comfortable with me. I feel comfortable with her. It's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing sexual about it. Where it's like brother sister.
Yes.
I'm probably even less weird.
And it's gone to this point.
Yeah, it's just like a buddy. It's my buddy just has her shirt off. She does that, whatever. But like, yeah, with Ava, it is that forbiddenness. You know, she seemed above the nudity, and nope. Here comes at least one of them. Prominently came out, and it was like, my God. Yeah, the Julie Strain sync, that was hot though. That was hot.
Yes.
She does scream at the end of that. Anchors away. Oh, you're a naughty nautical boy.
Good boy.
Anchors away.
Hey.
Now I wanted to bring this around before we close out.
She was having fun.
Yes.
She felt the most like she was having fun. And according to IMDb trivia, can take it with a grain of salt. She was just saying, I liked being in this movie because it was campy fun.
Yes.
And this is what you're going to expect from an Andy Sidaris film. I was like, she's got a good point.
I believe that because she's known, she did pass away a few years ago. She's known as the queen of B movies because she just started mostly nudity oriented B movies most of her career. Although she did have appearances in like actual films too, but usually in non-speaking roles. She was in Beverly Hills Cop 3 and a few other movies. She was married to Kevin Eastman, one of the co-creators of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for a long time too, which is a very strange fact. And Kevin Eastman himself appears in a couple of Andy Sidaris films.
Oh wow!
The ones we haven't watched, the ones that are Lethal Weapon, Return to Savage Beach, or Lethal Women, or Lethal Ladies, or whatever.
Oh
he's in that. So, which is really strange. Like, dude, you're like a billionaire off of the Turtles. Why are you appearing?
Yeah.
But his wife was in him. You know, go to Hawaii with your wife and make a Sederis film. I guess I would do it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm trying to think of what else is there to cover about Fit to Kill, Andy Sidaris. How would you summarize your experience doing this? Why did you do it? Would you recommend other people sit down and watch 8 of these movies? Did we ever get even remotely close to the quality of Hard Ticket to Hawaii? Or what is that? Just give me your download monologue.
Okay, then. So I think we did this because, well, we were intrigued by him and we already were fans of Hard Ticket to Hawaii. And we're like, why not try to see where this is going? Let's see how these women are portrayed. Let's see how we actually get to these plots. Let's see how is it that one man could spend so many movies in just Hawaii. And so and also because I think we're just intrigued by people who just keep making the same movie over and over and over again. Like, it is fascinating, even if it's not making as much money, because most people just quit. Most people would just be like, okay, then I'm done with this. But no, Sederis kept going. He co-made his own production company with Arlene and just kept going. And he just kept doing these. And you're just, this is very impressive.
He made his own cottage industry.
He did.
Yeah.
And this is why he's fascinating and why these films are fascinating, even if they're pretty schlocky and most people would probably dismiss them. But there is some heart to them that I think a lot of people will miss. And we're kind of getting, because we've been watching so many of them. It's like, he actually did care. He's not doing this just for a easy payday. He was actually doing this because he loved it. So
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
that is at the end of the day, you feel his passion in some movies more than others,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's like this guy really, um, you know, when I talked to Arlene, my impression, without getting the specifics and talking to her, is that most of these were self-financed. I know for a fact that Hard Ticket was financed off of their house. They took a loan out against their own house to
Oof.
make a movie, Hard Ticket
Mhm.
to Hawaii.
Mhm.
And they weren't setting off to make just like, oh well, it doesn't, like they set off to make something that would entertain people. That was the goal, right? To have as much
Yeah.
entertainment value as possible.
Mhm.
And I think like I don't want to get too sentimental about Andy Sidaris' films, but I'll say this at the very least about Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
Mhm.
Um, there are this is the thing I always challenge people on. People talk about they don't, we need to go, and we kind of did a little bit too, but we mean this from a technical sense, not necessarily what I'm
Mhm.
about to say. Well, they need to go back to making movies like they did in the 80s. And what you have is you have survivorship bias. You only remember the great films that came out in the 80s that have endured for 40 years now,
Mhm.
35, 40 years. So for every Back to the Future, there's 10 uh, Porky's threes.
Yeah.
There's 5 Bikini Academies and Bikini
Mhm.
Car Wash, and there's 3 Ghoulies, 2. Like there's just so many movies that did not endure. There's so many movies of the
No.
80s that didn't even make it past opening weekend.
Yeah,
Go
no.
go to Internet Archive, pull up
Mhm.
your local newspapers, or even New York, LA, whatever's in there.
Mhm.
Go pull up a random newspaper for like a Thursday
Mhm.
in America. Go
Yeah.
find the entertainment section and the listings for what's showing in theaters, and
Mhm.
go week by week, month by month through 6 months of any year. Doesn't matter. 84, which is a very strong year. But
Mhm.
go through the rest of the week. Go
Yeah.
through the rest of the month or the rest of the year. I
Mhm.
mean, not just June and July. Go
Mhm.
through in March,
Yeah.
and you'll be like,
Go
oh
through the
well,
dump months, especially.
yeah, Alan Alda had a romantic yuppie dramedy with Mary
Mhm.
Tyler Moore, and
Yeah.
nobody about skinny dipping, and I
Nobody
don't
watched
remember
it.
that, or this, like you're
Mhm.
like, oh my god, the guy from you know Mary Hartman was in a spy thriller where he was in blackface. What? Like there's
Oof.
so many movies that you won't
Mhm.
even believe existed. You're like, what the
Mhm.
fuck? I never even knew those people were in a movie together.
Yeah.
And because they were instantly disposable, and I don't even mean
Mhm.
they were bad. These are studio films that were
Yeah.
immediately just lost to time.
Mhm.
They haven't made it out of the VHS era. They haven't been transferred to
Nope.
Blu-ray. They're not streaming anywhere,
Mhm.
and they're not gems. They're not lost, hidden, precious
Mhm.
artifacts. They're movies that nobody cares about, including the people who made them. They came out. They
Mhm.
were programmers.
Yeah.
We need a drama for the month of March. Okay, here's a
Mhm.
drama. It's got 2 names in it and whatever. Okay, that's what Hollywood used to be.
Mhm.
Okay, so when you say I want it to be like it was,
Yeah.
it was never like you think it was.
No.
But Andy Sidaris in
Like there
that
were a
same
lot of stinkers in the golden age of Hollywood, and they do play
yes,
some. Ben Mankiewicz has brought it up. That's like I don't like or even love. I don't love or even like a lot of the movies we play on Dirty Classic Movies
yeah, they're
because a lot of them
stinkers.
are stinkers.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they've been preserved. They didn't burn.
Hmm.
They were put in a salt mine somewhere, and they've been
Yeah.
transferred so that
And
we
to give
have
them a
them.
chance for other people to discover and be like,
And
hey,
to
I actually
appraise
kind of like
them,
this.
yes, and maybe
Hmm.
some stuff later on works better, right?
Hmm.
But Andy Sidaris has accomplished something that most filmmakers will never accomplish in their life.
Hmm.
He made a movie that people are still talking about 40 years later.
Hmm.
They're still screening it in the
Yes.
Robert Zemeckis Theater at USC.
Yes.
They're playing Hard Ticket to Hawaii and Savage Beach, and they have his producer and wife,
Right.
Arlene Sederis, as if she were
Mhm.
Gail Ann Hurd, up in Robert Zemeckis Center, Robert Zemeckis IMAX Theater,
Cedar.
watching fucking Savage Beach, and Hard Ticket to Hawaii, because a couple of these movies have endured
Mm-hmm.
and most don't. And for
Mhm.
that, he's been gone a long time now. He's been gone almost 20 years. For
Yes.
that, I know she's proud, Arlene, because she.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that people don't just see him as just a tits and ass filmmaker. Is that what he is? Yes, and he's proud of being a
Yes, but
tits and
he's
ass
more than
filmmaker.
that.
But he is more than that. And
Mhm.
again, he has accomplished something. And the difference too here is, and maybe this is, I've been rambling, but
Mhm.
I'm thinking on the fly here. When Neil Breen makes a movie and we all go watch it, even though he will swear up and down, I don't make midnight movies. I don't make, whatever. And you're sitting there and you're watching it, and it's this feeble man on a blue green screen with stock
Mhm.
footage from, stock footage companies, just
Yes.
completely poorly sized, and all the depth
Mhm.
perception ratios, everything's completely off, and these canned explosions and all this stuff. We're laughing and we're enjoying those movies. And
Yeah.
I don't get the sense that he knows that why we're laughing.
No.
They're not funny to him. They're important movies. They're entertaining.
Mhm.
And he's got a message he wants to get out there about.
I feel like Ed Wood had a similar thing. He was trying to
Yeah.
figure out why are they laughing. It's
Why
just,
are they laughing?
and then he kind of ran with it for a bit, but then I think he's still just like, why is this funny?
Why is
It's
this
like-
funny? Tommy Wiseau.
Neil Breen's got a similar thing.
Yeah, Tommy Wiseau eventually was like, "Oh, it was a comedy on
Oh, it's
purpose."
a
No,
it's
it
a
wasn't.
black comedy.
No,
It's
it
just-
wasn't. No,
No, it wasn't.
No.
No.
And he didn't receive it that way. He was heartbroken for 10 years before he came around to that, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay, buddy. Whatever you need to tell yourself to keep yourself put together, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Andy Sidaris ever made a movie that he wasn't laughing at what he was making. Not that he didn't take it seriously.
Oh, he definitely was. He was definitely.
But
trying
he
to
was
make this
laughing
as
his ass
humorous
off
as
when he
possible.
wrote a snake to come out of a toilet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know he was laughing his ass off.
Snake with cancer.
You're right. Toxic waste, cancer infested rats or whatever. Yeah, you know he was laughing his ass off. You know when he
Yes.
was like, okay, I'm going to give this big-breasted woman a bazooka and have her fire it. It's going to be
Yes.
funny. Like, you know that we're not laughing with or at Andy. We're laughing with him. And that's the difference between him and a lot of his movies.
Mhm.
You feel like, because here's the thing, when he doesn't want you to laugh, he just takes it out of the movie, and the movie is kind of boring, but it still functions as a crude espionage film,
Mhm.
right? Tommy Wiseau could never make a single movie as good as the worst movie Andy Sidaris has ever made.
Very true.
And I don't think Neil Breen could either. I don't think
No.
David A. Pryor could. I don't think there's like a list of all these guys out here.
Mhm.
And I guess what I'm getting at is, I don't think Andy Sidaris was a vanity filmmaker.
No.
And that puts him in this really rare category for the types of people who make movies that we consider so bad they're good, or exploitation B movie, whatever.
Mhm.
Because after like 2 or 3 times, he doesn't even give himself cameos anymore. He's just
Yeah.
completely out.
No. He just stops. I was surprised.
He's never the star ever. He's never
No.
the star of any of these movies.
No.
He never makes himself God. There's no grand illusion about messages and the
Mhm.
banks and the Jews are trying to
Nope.
control everything like Neil Breen.
No.
There's none of that. He's never a space alien with a message of, like, he's not space Jesus. Nothing.
Mhm.
No,
I also
even
don't
Ridley
think
Scott.
many of these
Even Ridley
filmmakers who
Scott.
do stuff like this would actually have women as the central characters.
That's the other thing. Yes.
Mhm.
Right. Donna is, until the actual actress's life starts to fall apart. They're
Yeah.
the main characters. It's about
Yeah.
them and their friends and their adventures, and it's
Mhm.
Yeah, you're right. So
And many times they have to save the men instead of the men saving them.
every time.
Yeah.
They brought the joke back. He's like, "Oh, let me show you how it's done, baby," and he's like knocks the radio
He
tower
messes
over.
up.
Yeah, he can't shoot a
The
gun
shot.
after 10
No.
years. Shane Abley can't
No.
shoot a 44 Magnum, and she's a
Nope.
crack shot. You know?
Yes.
And she's just a jacuzzi lady.
Mhm.
So I don't know. This isn't high art, but that's okay. It's
No.
fun.
It doesn't have to be.
No, of all of them, I think Hard Ticket to Hawaii. I would probably even recommend Malibu Express. I think that's maybe.
I think so too. I would too as well, especially for the Countess. She's fantastic. I love her character, and I'm
buddy Mike
sad she only
Landis.
showed up at that one movie.
Yeah. Yes. I think Malibu Express might be slightly underrated. Like that's the hidden one in its filmography.
Especially after we watched a bunch of these other films, we're like, Malibu Express was not that bad in comparison.
No.
I think Picasso Trigger is still our least favorite.
I would say so. That one is painful to get through.
Yeah. That one is like, just skip it. Just don't even watch.
Because Donna and Taryn are barely in it. They don't do
Yeah.
it. Like they're still figuring out that, oh, this is their film series. But once we get back to them and Edie and Rocky and all these other girls that have come and gone through the years, that's when it's most fun. I think the best pairing is Taryn and Donna. I think they make
agree.
the best pair. Well, not the best pair, but the best pair of people.
That's a pun.
I didn't mean to do it, but yeah. Well, let's ask this question. Of all of the beautiful, gorgeous women, many of them who were funny and had a lot to contribute to the movies, who's the most memorable to you, either because of their humor or their sexiness or their performance? When you walk away from this, who will you remember from the Andy Sidaris Triple B films?
Well, I already mentioned the Countess, so I was just like, I always wanted her back, and she never came back.
She never came back.
And she was just in the first movie.
Yeah.
But I guess also the muscle henchwoman from Hard Ticket to Hawaii, she was definitely memorable, and I feel like Julie Strain was definitely evoking that.
Yes.
So yeah, I think, and of course Donna's basically the heart and soul after all for most of these films. So
yeah, she's
got to give credit.
You got to give credit where credit's due. She's a queen bee. It's her world. The rest of us are just living in it.
Yes.
Now my brain is working overtime of like, could I write a lethal? Because apparently that's what can I write a Triple B soft reboot, a legacy sequel?
Legacy of Andy Sidaris.
Right?
Talk with Arlene.
Could I write a Force Awakens for this series? We're like, we're gonna basically.
Can I do a continuity reboot?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Can I bring back Kane and can I finish some of these unfinished storylines?
Yes.
Bring back some legacy women. Get some new women.
Yes.
In there. Could I do it and have you be a script consultant on it? That way you could be like, more muscle, more
muscle, women, more. You gotta cast Katie O'Brien.
More hard bodies.
Yes.
More mountainous women. Okay, Molly. This is my 5th seed of a mountainous muscle woman.
That woman is 5'11". Hire her. She towers. She's 6 feet tall. She towers over all of us.
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? Is I'm 6'4", right? Julie Strain was what?
Oh, it's gonna be hard to find someone taller than you.
Yeah, 6'1". Julie Strain was what, 6'1", something like that?
Yeah, she was 6 feet tall, 6'1".
Yeah, so we got.
I know that the tallest leading lady is the actress who played Cleopatra Jones. She was 6'2".
Oh wow. Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to kick some ideas around. Well, yeah. So
Yes.
what score would you give Fit to Kill?
I think because it's also bittersweet, I would give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars.
We're locked in, Molly. 2.5
Yes.
out of 5.
Woo!
We're locked in. You went from being somebody who I knew for their takes on classic Hollywood and Kate Bush and the internet to then we talked about who the fuck did we talk about? Oh, we did the AFI, right? Was that you?
That's right. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, we did the
Yeah.
AFI top 5 best movies of all time.
Yes.
And now we've done 8 Andy Sidaris films, and we found out we have the exact.
No, it was the Criterion films. The first 5
It was
Criterion films.
That's
yes.
right. First 5 Criterion, and now we find out we have the exact same taste in women.
We're finally got it because I remember you did not like 400 Blows, and I really like that movie.
Yeah, we're not locked in on 400 Blows. We're not locked in
No.
on Truffaut. We're locked in on Sederis and Muscle Mommies.
Yes.
So that's where we're locked in. We've got to get to a film festival together and scour for Muscle Mommies at film festivals. That's our unicorn, right?
I feel like that's not where you're supposed to go. We need to hit the gym.
Oh, but I need you to be the Rizzler. And you could rizz him up about movies, and then then we split the difference.
You seem to be very encouraging at the idea that these women would just fawn over watching a Turner Classic movie marathon.
Yeah, that's your unicorn. We only need one muscle mommy.
You want to come over to my place? I've got Turner Classic Movies.
Mankiewicz and chill. Let's go.
Want to see my movie collection?
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's right. That's that. Want to see all
so many movies.
Want to see all my Criterions?
Yes. I have so many.
Yeah, what I'm saying is there's a unique lane out there of muscle mommy movie nerd. It's a Venn diagram, and it's a very small niche.
Yes.
One of us isn't going to be able to necessarily find their way to that niche. But your power and my power combined, we will be able to get into that space. And then you will be able to rizz and lure them out to Turner Classic Movies. And then it's just us shooting our shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't believe in this plan.
No.
You don't think such a woman exists. I know they exist. I think there's at least 2 of them. If you're on the internet and you're out there right now and you're looking for 2 smart people who like movies, and
I think one of them that does exist is Katie O'Brien, and she already has a wife.
Break up
the
that
luckiest
marriage,
woman
Molly.
in the world.
Break up that marriage, Molly. Let's slip you in.
No, I like their marriage.
No, break their marriage up. Let's get you in.
No.
I'm not invested in their marriage. I'm invested
I like her
in you.
wife.
I will break up any lesbian marriage to get you in. I don't care.
No. Don't you dare. Beautiful relationships. No.
I will destroy the sanctity of any gay marriage for Molly's
No.
happiness.
No. I won't let you do that.
I'm going to use the power of patriarchy
No.
bust up these gay marriages to get your happiness. Katie O'Brien, this is your wife
No.
now.
No, leave her alone. She's in love and happy.
You're white knighting for this woman.
I'm not even friends with her, but I like her wife, and she's on Twitter.
Okay, all right, milady. You just milady this woman. That's fine. I'll be the heel in this scenario.
I'm rooting for them.
That will endear more women towards you, though. I'll be the heel, and you'll be the baby face. You're like, no, I believe in the power of of gay love, and I'll be like,
Yes.
I do too, and I think it should be legal, but I'm breaking this marriage up just this
No.
for my friend Molly.
They'll be like, that is the most unselfishly selfish thing to do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's selfish altruism.
Yes. Basically.
Yeah.
Oxymorons going around.
Yeah. How could you judge me? You couldn't even put it into a category. It'd break your brain.
I know.
The one thing I forgot is I had Hawaiian popcorn for tonight, since this is our last one. I wish I could share with you. I did end up popping it because I'm still full, but also because it makes a gallon of popcorn, Hawaiian style popcorn. So like,
you got to share.
yeah, I can't just sit here with a gallon of popcorn.
No. That's your dinner tomorrow.
Yeah. So I got a lot of this stuff, but all right. Well, this has been a blast. Thank you. When you're not here defending the sanctity of gay marriage between two lesbians, from me trying to break up their marriage to get you a lovely woman, so that Katie O'Brien can become part of your life permanently, and She-Hulk you to Valhalla. What are you up to?
I am up on Twitter at Raspberry Raz. You can also find some of my writings at Mollywood Writes at WordPress.com, and you can also find some of my earlier writings on the filmstage.com.
Awesome. Lean Beef Patty, if you're out there and you like Turner Classic Movies, let one of the two of us know. Okay. Well, folks, it's time to hit eject on the VCR one last time. We've reached the end of Sederis September here at the last video store in the universe. It's been a wild ride, from beachside shootouts, bikini-clad espionage, and bare-breasted coffee pouring. From the sun-soaked shores of Malibu Express to the diamond-studded chaos of Fit to Kill, we've basked in the pure, unapologetic magic that only Andy Sidaris could deliver. So until we meet again, whether it's here, the last video store, or somewhere deep in the late night, keep your tapes rewound, your rockets launched and loaded, and never forget, the adventure's only just beginning. Thanks for joining us, and remember, in Andy's world, life's always more fun when your gun is loaded and your top is off. Until next time, binge on.